Hey guys, Kyle Bratch from Chaparral Motorsports here with Cole Siebler and Jeff Northrop. We are waiting in line right now to do the track walk here at A1. Now also with us, just behind Cole there, is Weston Peick. So Weston's mic'd up and the three of us are going to be out there on the track talking to you about kind of what's going down. Now you guys have been here all day. You've been hearing riders come off the track. What's it looking like out there?
Well, it looks right now like it's going to be super nice weather, so we don't have to worry about any rain, which is awesome compared to last year. Jeff and I think are going to try to give you guys a perspective of, what a privateers would do, and we got Weston here to show you what the fast guys do. So I'll let Jeff tell you his perspective.
I think the biggest thing is just watching these guys progress as the day goes on, adapt to the track, put sections together, and that's going to give them a real solid night show result. So I think that's key, is just progressing through the day.
So leading off of that, right? So when you come out here and you start to race, when you start practicing in the morning versus when you hit the night show, the track changes a lot. Now for the people that have never ridden a motocross track before, specifically a supercross track, what actually changes, Cole? Like what happens throughout the day?
Probably the biggest thing is the whoops breakdown. So the whoops are big in practice. As you got guys going through the whoops and they start to break down, they're really difficult to prep with a machine because you got to basically rebuild them. So they do the best they can, and usually they knock them down a bit. So you got the whoops where a privateer who's struggling to skim whoops in practice, he's going to get through them a lot better in the night program because they break down so much. That's, to me, the biggest thing that changes for the night program.
I think it's the corners. The corners will start breaking down and finding the fastest line, whether it's that high outside line or that really tight inside. The key is finding the best line that's not rutted up, and over time it just gets really choppy and rough. So it kind of takes your speed away to get out of the corners and jump the big sections that you're looking for.
Now we're making our way over here to the starting gate here. This is where everyone takes off. It's pretty impressive to see how wide this gate actually is when you're down here on the field. Just imagine 20 bikes, handlebar to handlebar, all coming down just to make this corner.
The nice thing about having a grate now is you used to have to pick a good rut, right? You have a good gate pick.
True, yeah.
You had to find a straight rut, not too deep. So now where it's even, a guy can get potentially a better start, for more spots on the gate rather than having just a few key gates. But I've never done a start on a grate. I know Weston has. It's a lot different.
You're full throttle launching out of that gate, and you don't have to worry about spinning or anything like that. You're pretty much launching as hard as you can, looking ahead, hoping you get that jump, and game over from there. But it's a big difference.
So from your past experiences racing A1, what are some of the things that as a rider when you come to, you anticipate things, right? Each track is different. You've experienced each track year after year. Like when you come into A1, like what's going through your mind? Like what kind of prep are you doing?
So the biggest thing with A1 is like you have the whole year off. You've got 5 months off, so it's just trying to go into A1 and not let those jitters get the best of you. And just with the best thing I would do is make it through A1. Don't care what position you get, top 10.
Gotta finish.
Finish, get it through A1, and then move on from there. A1 is going to be a little bit more mellow. You're not going to see the crazy big rhythm sections. You're not going to see the super steep jumps as much because it's round one. You don't want people to get hurt. You don't want to lose your number one riders. So you tame it down. You make it a little bit easier for everybody. Everybody gets through A1, and then from there it starts building from there. So you're going to see a lot of smaller jumps here and just kind of get people through the weekend.
Interesting. Now, Jeff, you've been here all day. What have you been hearing as far as guys that come off the track so far?
So far, it sounds like everyone likes the track. Seems like it's a good layout. Like Weston kind of mentioned, they make it a little bit easier round one to try to get everybody through. And that's the key, trying to walk away from this event being healthy.
All right, so coming up here, it looks like we have a nice steep face. We're now just in front of the finish line here. Now, what part of this track is the most tricky?
I think as the day goes on, we talked about ruts earlier. These guys get the course down off the jumps, but then when you start adding into these little ruts in between the jumps, you got to make sure you land correctly, landing and taking off correctly at the same time, where sometimes those ruts can steer you to the left or the right. So staying straight and just making sure you're relaxed through the ruts is key.
This dirt here right now, A1, It's good at A1. When we used to have 3 rounds, the third round, it would get so hard packed and blown out. Like this is the best round because the dirt's been piled up. There's moisture in it. It's pretty rare to see a lot of ruts at Anaheim, but right now it looks like there's a lot of moisture in it, and it looks really good compared to normal Anaheim.
So you're saying the same dirt is used. They take this dirt up, they put it somewhere, they store it. A2 comes back, they put the dirt back down. It's the same dirt. So how is it really that much different?
They store it between A1 and A2, usually they got a monster truck jam, so it's sitting out in the sun, right? And it just bakes and dries out, and it gets harder, where when it's in a pile, the moisture stays in it a lot more. So as it just is used and worked, it just dries out and gets harder.
Sure.
See, again, seeing ruts in there, I mean, that's pretty unique for Anaheim. You just don't tend to see it's super ruddy, but the whoops are really going to be key tonight.
Let's go jump over there real quick. So what do these whoops look like as compared to some of the other whoops at the other tracks?
There's a lot more moisture. There's a lot more ruts in these whoops, so it's trying to keep that steady throttle, looking ahead, and trying to get it all the way to that rhythm.
One of the key things too is always run a gear higher. If you're running, these guys are usually hitting these whoops 3rd, 4th gear, making sure that bike lugs and tracks through the top of these whoops. So that's a big one too, making sure you're in a key gear.
So instead of spinning, you just run off the top.
Yeah, you kind of let it lug through. I kind of been a short guy through my career, so I tried to find the easy line in the whoops.
Through your career, you're only about a half a foot shorter than Weston and about a whole foot shorter than Cole. So
I see this jumping through whoops my entire career. I would skim them till the death of me. Like,
yeah.
You would never see me jumping whoops.
I would no way. Because your feet would be like,
I'd
be the guy going.
yeah, so that's an interesting thing. So what's your style?
Being taller, I was okay in the whoops. I would always try to skim. I felt like guys that were short were really good at jumping, and I wasn't. So I was like Weston. I try to skim to the death. Difference between someone like Weston's going to hit the very, very top of this cup. If you slow down just a little bit and you're in the cup, it kills you. Like, you gotta hit the very top of it so it doesn't kill your momentum.
Interesting. So what's the skill as far as jumping them? What would you do? How would you set up to jump this whoop section here?
I couldn't even tell you.
I think the biggest thing is finding what whoop's high and which one is low, and trying to either triple or double and land on that low whoop, so that way it's a flat spot to kind of give you more momentum to finish them out.
Now I'd imagine that'd be all part of practice. Is you're looking at that and you're like, okay, what strategy am I going to use at this track? And
as the night goes on, I think you'll see the guys change their lines and ride the whoops differently as they get broken down.
It really is wet over there in that corner, that's for sure.
That's like a
now is that
right
we had that massive rain about a month ago. So really, is it the rain that we had a month ago that soaked in and just stayed in the dirt?
Well, usually, I'm not sure. A lot of times the dirt's covered in a covered area. I'm not sure where Anaheim stores it, if it's covered or not. But we've had a lot of moisture down here, and they've done a good job getting moisture in it and keeping it wet. So right now the track looks really good.
This
more
looks
East Coast.
This looks like we've hit rain.
This is more
East
Coast. Yeah, they've been on top of it watering it, and this is more East Coast style dirt.
So would you rather ride a wetter track or a drier track?
So Kyle, a lot of these guys on the West Coast like hard packed, right? Some of the guys from the East Coast that are used to the ruts, they like these ruts. So it depends on where you're from, right? I mean, right now it looks really good for everyone because it's really tacky and you're gonna get a lot of traction.
Right. All right. Well, that about wraps up our track walk here at A1. I want to give a big thank you to Cole Siebler. Appreciate it, sir. Weston Peick, it was a pleasure walking the track with you. Thanks for your insights, and of course, Jeff, thank you for tagging along as well. Kyle Bradgett from Chaparral Motorsports. If you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more action like this to your inbox, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Big thank you to Fly Racing. You guys are awesome. They make some amazing gear and one of the most protective motocross helmets that you can buy. So if you haven't learned about that yet, there's a link to that helmet in the description below where you can see the detailed breakdown of what makes that helmet amazing. Anyhow, until next time, take care and peace out.